If you've ever thought about dipping your toes in the counterculture, today is the day for you.
Yeah, it's Punk for a Day, and as we dive into it, you'll learn that punk is not just about a sound, it's about doing what you want.
It doesn't matter what you are, what you wear, who you like, you need to be able to live your life. And if you can't do that the way you were born, don't be afraid to transform.
This is the group Random Ideas. They're a trio of triplets from the Mid-Coast, and they lean right into one of the common elements of a punk band, activism. Now, many punk bands share political messages, and you can find them for pretty much whatever flavor of ideology you want, from anarchist groups like the Sex Pistols to socialist groups like Clash. And it's not just political ideologies. There are Christian punk bands, Hare Krishna punk bands, feminist, straight edge, vegan, environmental, the list goes on. And in 2010, a writer and filmmaker named Stephen Blush came to the city of Portland to talk about his book and documentary, American Hardcore.
By the 70s, the rock and roll boom was ending, disco was moving in, and as Blush told us, that didn't sit well with the kids.
Right, and we were told music was dead, you guys missed it all, you missed Woodstock, you missed all the exciting periods in music. And here all of a sudden there was like a reclaiming of it. No longer was it just what was on the radio or in the newspapers, it was kids grabbing it and doing it. And it was about this word of DIY that we use so often today. You can trace back to the early 80s hardcore punk scene of kids doing it themselves.
We've never had a hardcore punk band in our studios, but back in, yeah, don't tempt 207. But back in 2016, the band Covered in Bees came by in costume to share some of what they call Portland death punk.
And as you'll see, despite playing with incredible distortion, speed, and volume, they're really all about having fun.
Clearly, you enjoy having a good time.
We're a very serious band.
Yes, I can
A lot
see
of
that
other
about
bands
you.
in town, they don't take it seriously. They don't practice. They just show up dressed in street clothes. We bring it to another level.
You bring it to another. Tell us about your costumes, because I love the names for all of your costumes. Yeah.
Well, there's 24 Karat Doug on guitar.
Excellent.
Business Hot Dog. If you need to get in touch with us, booking us, Business Hot Dog's your man. That's Ed.
All right.
He's dressed as Tristan, and I'm Lumberjackula.
Young Lumberjackula, whose real name is Boo.
Yes.
Well, real
I
name.
had to mix it up.
Lumberjackula. Now, one band that's really important to hardcore punk is Black Flag. The singer of that band, Henry Rollins, has gone on to have a fascinating career. He's now an actor, a spoken word performer, and the occasional TV host.
Black Flag's music was often political and highly critical of America. So when he hosted a show about the history of America, we wanted to know his thoughts on the country.
I've always loved the good parts of our country and always called out the bad parts. And anyone who says we're great all the time, that's just not true. That's not historically accurate. So if you point things out, someone says, oh, you're down on America. I'm like, absolutely not. But how do you upgrade the model unless you point out the flaws and seek to fix? That's why the Constitution has 27 amendments, because we keep fixing and evolving. But by and large, I think we're an amazing country. It's easy to understand why the rest of the world looks to America for everything from innovation to how to run a government. And certainly we are flawed, because why? Because we're humans. But by and large, I think we get it right.
And the band, When Particles Collide, is from the Bangor area and has won Best New Artist at the Boston Music Awards and a handful of other accolades.
They embody the must-make music character of the genre. They both had day jobs before giving those up to pursue their musical passion, and they're currently working on their next album. But let's check out a bit of their music from a few years ago.
But cheer up, I'm coming belong to the dance, and I'm gonna wear my ego.
Rock and rap started on the fringes, but now is part of mainstream society.
We'll check in again with Stephen Blush for what that means for the genre.
You know, I was at a football game the other day and I saw Green Day play at halftime in front of the Citibank sign, and it kind of lost its luster for me. Yeah. So I hope it's the DIY aspect of like just telling kids, like, don't just sit around, don't wait around for the proverbial $1 million contract. If you think you got something to say, some music to make, some voice that you have, do it.
And that is it for us this half hour. I'll be back at 5.
And I'll be back at 5:30. Samantha York and Chris Costa have a rundown of today's top stories right after this. We're going to leave you with some music from the group El Malo.
They are an ensemble of musicians playing a style of music they call salsa core. Has some Latin rhythm, but also an aggressive punk undertone. Stay with us.